Folks, I have an emergency, actually. I have a project that's been boiling inside me for 5 years now. It needs to come out. It's in each and every one of my cells, and it needs to materialize. And it is, actually. So if you will, tonight we will go through together the story on how it got to this point for me. Tonight we're talking about reaching the stars, and I thought I had just done that already. Computer science here in Sierre Valley, Switzerland. And then I had a master's degree in an art school in Lausanne at ECAL for the little artsy bit. And we're 95, 96. So it's the year of Toy Story, if you remember. Toy Story is coming out. So the American studios, they're looking for people everywhere. And here we go. Here we are. So 97, boom. It happens for me and for us. With 4 of my friends, I'm hired and I moved to Los Angeles, California. And I'm hired at this studio called Rhythm Hues Studios, which at the time, if you remember, they were known for the Coca-Cola Polar Bears commercials and for the first Babe movie. And so for the next 13 years, I will have the chance to grow as a visual effects artist, as a professional, making some of these movies, or helping make some of these movies. That you, the second Babe, maybe the first Narnia, the second Hulk, Superman, the Golden Compass, Happy Feet, and the A-Team in 2010. So this wraps up a little bit the golden years at Rhythm Hues Studios, because they sadly reached their pinnacle last year, if you remember, because they had the Academy Awards for Life of Pi, but 2 weeks prior they filed for bankruptcy. Sad story, we won't go into that now, but this company, what I can stay with, is that it was partly founded by a guy named John Hughes, who really created a special place, a place where the employees, we were treated with respect, with integrity, with complete transparency, a very special place, and we were producing outstanding imagery. So I just want to pay homage tonight to John Hughes by telling him, John, rest assured, the environment you created, and with these core values, and all your ex-employees you touched with those, we'll carry them in and apply them to everything they touch and everything they do from now on. And this will multiply, and you should be proud. And I thank you very much for what you did. So, but you know how it is. When everything's perfect, when you're happy, stable work condition, you have time to think. Time to think about something else, maybe. Something more. How could I affect the world a little more? But my conscience is clear. Sorry, it's there. My conscience is clear. I'm not selling ammunitions, right? We're helping to sell popcorn and Coca-Cola and dreams to kids. But somewhat, there's inside me something that says, I don't know, maybe I can do more, a greater purpose. I need something. So in 2008, decided with my wife, we're going to be transferred to India, to the Indian branch of Rhythm Hues in Mumbai. See the world a different perspective. And in and out of work, in my little rickshaw, I have time to think some more. But it's actually in that apartment one Saturday that it hits me, the start of an idea. I see this documentary by Yann Arthus-Bertrand on TV5, Vue du Ciel, which basically, long story short, he tells us through that show about Congo in Africa and that Lake Edward, where there is this phenomenon happening where the hunters, people, are killing the hippos in the river a little too fast. And they get richer, and they go to the market, and they don't have any fish on the tables anymore. And through the show, you learn quickly that relationship between the hippo population and the fish population. And I'm learning this vicious circle of conditions. And then you learn they pay once a month a WWF guy to fly over the lake and count the hippos. Great, we need these numbers, we need the statistics. But I'm aching in front of my TV. I'm like, but this is horrible. Do the people on the ground realize this? Do they know? I mean, I know now. I'm in front of my TV. What can I do? And then I think, as maybe I can help. What if I could use all that talent I'm surrounded at work? What if I could use, because everybody's drawing a character or a short story or something outside of work, during work. What if I could use these talented artists to maybe illustrate this complex problem? And that's what I asked a friend to do. And this is the story in 3 drawings. It's one example. And another friend helped to colorize it. I said, what if we could do something like this quickly, print it, give it to the WWF guy, and next time you fly over, you give this to the kids in the village. Because quickly I realized, okay, adults, forget adults. It's too late. The hunter dad is not going to stop, okay? But if I can reach the kids, because when you have a son holding your leg like this, you should stop the hunting. Maybe the dad stops or not, I don't know, but maybe I thought it could make a difference. We're representing a complex problem without the language barrier. But in my Hollywood comfort, it was just an idea and I fall back asleep. Until a few years later, where I'm out of this Hollywood thing and I'm joining forces in Zurich with the folks at Compost with a K. And we work on this very sweet project for a non-profit organization called Plan. Here we go.
I am the most powerful force for change on the planet. With education and support, I can help myself, my family, and my community out of poverty.
Voilà. And this project, the company Compost didn't make any money on this. The non-profit organization didn't have much, but we were all working night and day on this and so happy to do it. It was simply different. It was bigger. It was outside the commercial market. We thought this could make a difference, so we were very willing to do it. And I thought, why is it so rare? How can I create something that will provide the mechanism for it to happen more often? And so I get back on my action feet, and I say, okay, you got to do something. And so by then, the ideas are a little clearer, okay? I want to maybe something to find a mechanism to borrow the visual artistry of super talent away from the mainstream. Try to find something where we can use that energy once a year. I want to do it maybe with transparency, neutrality, and truth. Some of the core values I was lucky to have at Rhythm Hues during all these years. I want to foster new thinking, work for the future 2.0, in the idea about, forget about the adults, right? Let's work on the kids. And then something from the heart, something fulfilling for both the guys who work on it and for me. So it gets a little clearer. But it gets the last piece of the puzzle is when I see the work of one of my heroes, David McCandless at informationisbeautiful.net. And what he does, this is the $1 billion hologram. So he represents the complexity of our world in a beautiful manner, very vulgarized, very simplified. For example, you read an article right now, it's going to be one number. Wall Street, $1 billion here, $1 billion there. One subject at a time. And then in the news at night, the Iraq war, $1 billion here, $1 billion there. But what do they mean anymore? We don't know. So here, squares of colors. They all represent $1 billion. So for example, from my perspective, you're going to read this differently. But in my perspective, Hollywood video games market It's big, okay? It's my world. It should take the whole screen. They make billions. So lower left, video games market, 32 billion. It's big. It's a small square. Wow. One idea is out the window. In relation to what? Maybe on the right, global pharmaceutical market. Wow. Or on the top, Iraq war in purple. Or on the right, on the left, like 300 billion yearly amount given to charity by Americans. Did you know this? Well, it's a lot of things. We don't need the text. We don't need the numbers. It's just the ratios. A kid could look at this. So I said, okay, this is it. This is what I want to do. And so I'm creating represent.org to start the talk, where we are going to provide the mechanism to represent the data, the complexity of our world in a simplified manner, and created by some talented artists. And we're going to do it over and over again because the world changed very fast. But it's a big undertaking, and I was like, okay, got to start somewhere. So phase 1 of that nonprofit organization will be to focus on teachers. And instead of creating our work right now, I'm concentrating on gathering all existing work under one roof. Because right now, teachers, I believe they need content. They need content fast to attract attention, right? The kids, right now, they have iPhones, iPads, YouTube, PlayStations. And it moves, it's colorful, and it's made with talented people. So a teacher, how does you attract attention? Hello, I'm there. Maybe they're lucky and they have an electronic blackboard. We give them tablets. But what about the content? They need this content. So remember these encyclopedias back then at the time? What if we could isolate just the illustration? Beautiful. And let the teacher go around it and create his class. Or what about these type of drawings where we could spend entire afternoons around imagining things? What if we could collect them? And that's what we're doing. Hopefully, when you'll come to represent.org, the teachers will have existing amazing illustrations like these. Like what? Let's find a couple examples. For example, the next one, this is something you can find on howstuffworks.com, owned by the Discovery Channel. But it's buried under a lot of text, a lot of messages, a lot of commercials. I believe this needs to be isolated and readily available for a teacher. If you are a mechanical engineer teacher at the trade school down the street here, do you believe that showing this every morning, the first week, you show this, and you tell the guys, remember the cannons where we were putting powder, we were shooting at each other with boats, a cannonball in a small receptacle, explode the powder, and boom, and then Henry Ford thinks, maybe if I can put a string behind the cannonball and explode the cannonball, bring it back, explode it, bring it back. Make it small. You have the car engine. Hey, guys, look at this. The piston. That's the cannonball. I don't know, but I believe as a teacher, maybe you get some attention. What other work? Amazing work by Kai Rose, The True Size of Africa. Hey, geography teacher, I can use this. Today we're going to talk about the true size of Africa. Look at the numbers. Great, everybody knows the numbers. Russia is big, square kilometers. Canada, Brazil, United States. Okay, numbers, what do they mean? Oh, did you know you can put the entire United States in Northern Africa? Yeah. And Europe. Yeah. And actually India and Japan. Yeah, but one at a time. No, all together at one time. Really? As a geography teacher, you start to talk. Now, maybe I get your attention, and then we can talk about anything like the Mercator projection, how the northern white people have made us perceive the world until now versus the Peters projection. One drawing changes your view of the world. We just talk about it. Or animated work. This is done by Pedro Miguel Cruz. And I want to talk to that person. This is the history in 3.5 minutes. It's an extract here of the 4 big empires of the seas. This starts The Spanish Empire has already become small and South America is independent. And First World War, look at how, just before First World War, every time they touched there was a battle, there was an incident. Look how, before Second World War, how the British Empire, how big it was. Until 1940, where Australia gets its independence. And then 1948, India. Well, as a history teacher, I show this in the morning. I can stop right there. Okay, today we're going to talk about this. 1948, what happened? India, Gandhi. Who's Gandhi? Well, let's talk about it. Now, maybe, again, we get the attention. We have a lot of information represented differently, simply, with talent. This needs to be broadly diffused and available, I believe. And this was yesterday almost, right? Hong Kong, 1998. We remember. Then a small mistake at the end in Spain and Portugal, but essentially here you have the world map. Look at this. This is Pedro Miguel Cruz. Work like this by 5W Infographics. 50 years of exploration. Okay, if I'm a teacher, maybe I don't show all this, but I have a platform where I go to Prezi and I tell the teacher, you set up 5 cameras like this, and you zoom in first, and you say, hey, okay, 50 years of exploration, 73 times to the moon. Every white dot is a failed mission. The colors, oranges are NASA, the reds are USSR, and the other colors, China, India. Or in a blink, in one stare, you have so much information, like these kids' illustrations, you remember. We can talk about Venus. We can, 9 times to the sun. I didn't know that. It's even fun to look at it. Or we can talk about Mars, 40 missions, way more colorful, more players. Or outer space. Or we can have like more light problems, just to break the myth that the marketing guys, they want to make us believe. What is the difference between all these café mocha con leche? Yeah, you represent it simply and the myth goes away. Or we can be light also, like work amazing. One of my heroes, or Hans Rosling, we talk about. This is representing the United Nations data, plotting, and see the relationship between the life expectancy and the income. Look how the world changed in the last 50 years.
And then finally they started to get healthier and healthier and healthier. And in the 1980s, then countries in Asia and Latin America started to catch up with the Western countries. They became the emerging economies. Some in Africa followed. Some Africans were stuck in civil war and others hit by HIV. And now we can see the world today in the most up-to-date statistics.
This is the true data, transparent data. You can check. The data will be available. It is. It's free. It's represented nicely. You can, I believe, make better decisions or different decisions, or start to talk about problems differently. Or work like this by a student in an art school where he was just having fun, but I think a chemical teacher could use this. Guys, today, let's talk about helium and oxygen.
Perhaps oxygen can give him a hand.
All right.
See that, students? Oxygen repels helium, much like a magnet.
This is simple animation that probably deserves a broader diffusion again and a second life.
That oxygen has made friends with iron.
Or today we talk about iron.
It's unfortunate, however, that they won't be able to play on that seesaw for long, since oxygen causes most metals to rust. I think someone should get...
So, while I have a few examples of what I'm trying to gather under one roof, under represent.org. And this is my higher star now project than Hollywood. And if the stars continue to align themselves like they've been so far, maybe this will continue becoming a reality. And if you have kids on your own, in the meantime, please let them play, draw, and play with paper and scissors and represent their world and their surroundings and check the ideas they might have. Check what they see. It might be a different view of the future that they would want. And it's a future they will be in charge eventually. Just to close, I just want to give credit to all these guys I'm using the work of, and that they might help me actually in this movement. I thank you very much for your attention.